Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to Books the House Down. My name's Colleen. If you haven't been here before, welcome. I have a lot of people that have come from Khadijah's channel. Hi. I haven't made a video here in a minute. So here I am with my October and November reads coming really late at you. Two things I want to address today. The first is it's really dark in my apartment right now. The sun, where is she? I don't know her, has not come out. It's very cloudy and overcast. So I have a ring light situation going on. I don't know how this is gonna film. Hopefully well. Hopefully the light slays and I'm looking good and snatched, but who knows. Secondly, I'm a tad bit under the weather. I don't know if you can hear, but like my nose is a little stuffed. It's that time of the year. I've gotten my COVID vaccine. I haven't gotten my flu shot yet. I work with kids and they're all a little bit sick, so I fear I might have caught the bug. But that's not gonna stop me. I'm gonna come at you here and do a little quick review of all the books I read. I have 20 books. I read 11 in October and then 9 in November. So 20 books together. I'm gonna keep this rapid fire as much as I can. I do like to ramble though, but I do have a lot of books to get through. I read a lot of literary fiction, a good mix between fiction and non-fiction books as well. I think there are some poetry books in this collection too. So yeah, I am not going to go into detail about explaining what the books are about, essentially. I'll try not to, because there are 20 books, and you can also find that information online, but it's more of just like a vibe check, all the books I read and how I felt about them. So here we go. So the first book I have here is called Baby Book by Amy Ching Yan Lam. This is a book that I got in September for my birthday, and it is a book of poetry. I don't really know what I'm looking for when I read poetry. I don't know how to explain it. It's just vibes, and I vibed with this one. Wonderful collection of poetry, beautiful prose. Amy's writing is stellar stuff. It touches on themes of being a child of immigrants, being part of a diaspora. Very good. Very out of practice. I don't know if you can tell. The second book I read is They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us by Hanif Abdurrahib. This is a highly recommended book from my friend Zoe, who I talk about all the time on this channel. Love them, but they love Hanif and they reread Hanif and they make memes about Hanif. Yeah, they recommended this book and all of Hanif's other works, and I really enjoyed it. This is a nonfiction book filled with essays on pop culture, music, politics. But Hanif is a poet, and I love anything written by poets because they write so beautifully. Ocean Vuong is a good example of that. Reading on Earth is briefly gorgeous. What a beautiful book, because the man's a poet. Yeah, I really appreciated this. He has some good takes. I love his internet presence. He's a really interesting person. Go read some Hanif. This is another book recommended to me from Zoe called Small Beauty by Jia Qing Wilson Yang. This is a Canadian book, Canadian published book. This is a beautiful and quiet wintry novel about a trans girl and her unraveling of family secrets, and uncovering as truths and reckoning. And yeah, I really liked it. It was really quiet and slow and wintry. Feels appropriate to read in the winter months, so recommend this. The next book I read I don't physically have here. There are quite a bit of books that I don't have here because I did either brought it from the library or I bought it, but I've lent it out to people to read. This book is called Girl Juice, picture here or here. It is a graphic novel, and I really thought that reading this book, it would be very wholesome and cute and like young girls and just, yeah, wholesomeness. And it kind of wasn't. It was a lot more vulgar than I thought it would be. I think they were more like in their early 20s or like late teens. It was really cute still, but I was like, oh, I didn't expect that. Honestly, not a book that I think about often. And to me, if I think about a book often after I've read it, that's kind of a good indicator that I can recommend this to people, or that that I just really like the book if I'm thinking about it a lot. So yeah, that book was okay. So I don't know if I'd recommend it or not. This next book that I read is called A Mind Spread Out on the Ground by Alicia Elliott. A beautiful account of Alicia Elliott's life. I think it's considered a memoir of sorts, but Alicia Elliott is Indigenous and she grew up in Canada and in the States as well. And she touches on themes of racism, on poverty, on sexual assault. There's a lot of really dark themes. It was a really harrowing book, really eye-opening, but again, with anything else, always check for trigger warnings. If you're not into any of the topics that they talk about, then don't read it, babes. Don't re-trigger yourself. We don't gotta do that. Sometimes we do need to read the hard things to really get other people's perspective and step out of our own narrative, and get an understanding of the people around us. But yeah, I really did enjoy this. Yes. The next book that I read, I'll insert the picture, Julia Fox's Down the Drain. I borrowed this from the library, and what a slay of a book. I bought it from the library, like not thinking much about it. Obviously Julia Fox is iconic, and I don't know much about her. I didn't know much about her prior to her rise to fame on the internet, and I didn't know what I was expecting reading this book, but I really liked it. Yeah, it was a really good read, memoir written about her childhood up to her current day life and all the shenanigans that she gets up to. There's a lot of dark themes in that book as well, so I would just look it up or proceed with caution, but I really enjoyed it. Back to back, honestly, two iconic women was Miss Britney Jean Spears is The Woman in Me. I read that right after I read the Julia Fox book. I like ran to the store, to my bookstore, and bought it. And I really enjoyed it as well. I love Britney Spears. I have since I was a wee little child, and she's had a really hard life. This book is a really easy read. I don't know if she quite wrote it herself. It does sound like it more of a conversation, and maybe she had a conversation with a ghostwriter and they were writing it, and that's totally fine because Brittany's not a writer, and that's okay. Respect to ghostwriters everywhere. It really is an art and a yeah, it's a big undertaking, and some people are able to do it really well. And yeah, so I read that and I did enjoy it, but I will say, no disrespect to Miss Britney Jean Spears, I did like Down the Drain more. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Switching it up, the next book I read, I also don't have here, but insert a picture here. I always have trouble with pronouncing this. I don't know why. Persepolis? Persepolis. Anyways, The Story of a Childhood. I read volume 1 of the 2-part volume graphic novel. This is a graphic novel account of the author Marjane's life. It focuses on her childhood up to, I think she's like in her late teens when the book ends, on what it was like living during the revolution in Iran. And yeah, it was really interesting to read it given like the current climate that's happening and going on. It was obviously really heartbreaking, but it's also really important read. I think it's actually recommended reads or like a recommended book. I know my friend who's in university right now, they're in teachers college, and that is like a recommended, that's like a required reading book for them in one of their classes. Yeah, and sometimes those required reading books don't slay, but this one, it does. Another book that I read is called One State by Jihada Karmi, The Only Demographic Future for Palestine, Israel. I appreciated some of the ideas that were brought up in this book, but I don't think this needs to be your end all and be all of reading books about Palestine or reading nonfiction books about Palestine. There are a lot of really great other books that I have been reading. There actually is a list that Massy Books, my friend Dani works at Massy Books, they came out with a recommended reading list for all books Palestinian. So I'll link that somewhere. It's in my link tree as well. But yeah, some of the ideas were really interesting. I don't know if I necessarily like agree with all the ideas that she had in here for a possible solution. I don't know if that's a thing that can happen now. We'll see. But yeah, it's always really good to read widely. Not everything that you read you need to agree with, but it's also really good to just take what you will, you know? So that's what I thought about this book. And another Palestinian book that I read is called Minor Detail by Dani Shibli. This book was really hard to get. I think in the month of October, this book was, I think it was offered online for free, but the physical copy was kind of hard to find. But I did end up getting it. And this is a translated book from Arabic, and it entails, actually, I'm not gonna go on about this because I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about this book or read about this book and read about what happened to the writer who ended up getting a literary award taken away from them for being Palestinian and writing about their experiences and the experiences of Palestinian people. I cried my eyes out reading this book. I closed the book and really just kind of sat there, Tiffany Pollard style, thinking about it and thinking about the experiences of people around the world. Like, how privileged am I that I get to sit in this room with my phone as a camera, my stupid ass ring light, I got a Christmas tree, all my books, my cute little home, and I get to just chat, and I'm not worried about, you know, things that other people in the world are worried about. And yeah, I'm always just checking my privilege. Check your privilege. Anyways, I do recommend this. It was a really good book. God, I'm like really speeding through this, but I have to because there are so many books. I feel like I'm not doing every book justice here, but guys, bear with me. Okay, those were all the books that I read in October. Give or take few because I don't have them physically here. And now I have my stack of November reads. So I have 9 books to talk to you guys about. This first book is called Girlfriends by Emily Zhu, a collection of short stories by Little Puss Press. I really like Little Puss Press. It consists of Casey Platt is one person, and I forgot who else owns it. I love Casey Platt. She's incredible. I did hear her speak in September. She came for the Toronto International Festival of Authors, and I got to hear her speak. And I just love her, and she signed my book, and she just, chef's kiss. Anyways, sorry, back about this book, Girlfriends by Emily Zhu. It is a collection of short stories by Emily Zhu, who's a trans author, and a lot of the stories have to do with trans and queer characters. It was really sweet and fun. Themes of coming of age, themes of queerness, transness, navigating the world as a 20-something-year-old in the big city. So yeah, I do recommend that. The second book that I read in the month of, I was gonna say October, we're in November now. This is Survival Takes a Wild Imagination, Poems by Faria Rosen, and I really enjoyed it. Small but mighty. Look at this tiny little book. Also really gorgeous. I love the little collage situation artwork. I have a lot of this book underlined, checked, marked, circled, written notes in. I did read Who is Wellness For, which is the nonfiction book that she had written that came out prior to this, and I enjoyed it. I also enjoyed this. It is really heavy at times, and so is the other book, Who is Wellness For. It has themes of abuse, trauma, ancestral trauma, generational trauma, sexual assault. Yeah, so I would just be wary of that, but it is really beautiful and really beautifully written. This next book is one of the books that I did my last video surrounding, like my last vlog that I put out. I was reading this book. This is called The Girl at the Door by Veronica Ramo. This came as a bookseller recommendation at one of my local bookstores, and I absolutely loved it. It was really fast-paced. It's translated from Italian. Essentially, this woman is dating a man, and another woman shows up at the front door, and that's where we start off with this book. Yeah, really interesting. Do recommend. This next book, I also got in that last vlog that I had posted. This book was honestly such a slay. I think it might be one of my top books of the year. We'll see. But I really did appreciate this book. As so did a lot of other people online, I believe. Dives into a woman of color's mind. She is seeing a man who is also married and is seeing another woman, and she becomes obsessed with the woman, the other woman, I guess. Deals with themes of like obsession and being online and parasocial relationships and Delulu. I love that. I kind of love Delulu books and women that are Delulu. I'm a big Sylvia Plath fan, so that tells you all you need to know. Yeah, I really do enjoy this. Really did appreciate it. Love the titles for all of the little short chapters. Prime example, I might look innocent, but I screenshot a lot. Cause like same girl. Yeah, Sheena Patel. Shout outs to Sheena Patel. Okay, we're making a dent, girlies. We're making a dent. Okay, the next book I read is a nonfiction book by Miss Angela White Davis. Freedom is a Constant Struggle. If you don't know about Miss Angela White Davis, what? Where have you been? Get with the revolution. Get with the times, babes. Anyways, this is a great jumping point to reading radical nonfiction and getting your mind out of the gutter. Honestly, brilliant. How do I explain this? None of these concepts were essentially new to me, but it is a really good refresher to read. And I'm happy to read anything Angela Davis. So yeah, but this is a good start. This is a good start. Love her. Look at this photo, queen. And this next book that I have here is Mary Oliver's Devotion. This is Selected Poems of Mary Oliver. Mary Oliver is a lesbian poet. She writes a lot about nature, and beautiful things. Reading this book made me feel calm. It made me feel like I was meant to be sitting in a lake with like animals and birds chirping and nature surrounding me. Just really beautiful writing. So this is like a collection of poems she's written throughout her life. I have a lot of poems tabbed, and yeah, I started reading this book in March. I had it by my bedside table, and once in a while would just like pick it up and read it for like 20 minutes or so. So I've been chipping away at this, and I really do enjoy it, and I do recommend Miss Mary Oliver. This book is called Elsa Victoria's Old Lady Voice. This came as a recommendation to me from a bookseller, and I thought I just wanted something funny, and they were like, I really like this and thought it was funny. Maybe you will too. And I did. I loved it. This has to do with a grandma and her granddaughter. It kind of reminded me of Fight Night, only because of that they both follow the same relationship of like a grandmother and her granddaughter. And that's a relationship I didn't have growing up, so I think I'm always looking for books like that, or always enjoy books like that, because I don't know what that relationship looks like, and it looks cute and it sounds cute. Yeah, the girl is really sharp and witty and funny, and I just really enjoyed this. And it's published by And Other Stories, and I do love And Other Stories as a publishing house. So, yes. Two more books. Okay. Ripe by Sarah Rose Etter is the second last book that I read in November. Look at this gorgeous cover. Pomegranates, we love. This book came to me all the way from BC, from Zoe. When Zoe came to visit, they were like, were you interested in reading this? I can give it to you. And I said, yes, please. They didn't enjoy this book, so I was very hesitant to even start. And online, this book was getting a lot of buzz, so I was scared to start it. Buzzy books, I feel like I need the hype to hype down for a little bit, and then I will see how I feel about it. And if I want to read it that like later on, I still might. But yeah, I really did enjoy it. Okay, I will say this, the ending I'm very unsure of. I realized that it had to happen, and I realized that it makes sense for the writer to write it in that way, but I feel unsure about it. But everything else from the beginning to the middle and just before the end, I do really like. But it has to do with themes of trying to discover yourself, living in a big city that you can't afford, working in corporate. Sorry to anybody that works in corporate. It couldn't be me. Anxiety, doom living, being online, rediscovering yourself. Those are the themes. Anyways, that's right. I still do recommend this book, but yeah. And my last book that I have here is called Her First Palestinian and Other Stories by Sahid TV. This is obviously a book of short stories. I enjoyed this. As with any collection of short stories, there are short stories that really stand out and are amazing, and ones that like just fade into the background or don't really hit for me. But yeah, I did really enjoy this. Slay. I don't think there are books that I really didn't like in this pile. I think these are my two standout books, and maybe Julia Fox's book too. This one too. Actually, this one too. Anyways, yeah, those are all the books that I read in October and November. I hope you all had a good time watching this video. I watch other people make book content, and I'm like, wow, they are so eloquent in their speaking and so direct, and they know what they're talking about, and they fully have prepped for this video. And here I am saying like, slay, or like, this book was beautiful, I enjoyed, I recommend. Whatever, y'all. This is what you're gonna get. This is real. This is me. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. So yeah, these are all my books. Leave a comment, a nice one, in the comments below. Tell me the books that you're reading and you're enjoying. What are your plans for the end of the year? I hope that you enjoy your holidays if you celebrate. If you don't, also. Yeah, that's it. That's all. I do plan on vlogging. I am off for a little bit during the holidays, so maybe I'll get some content for y'all. I do plan on reading. I want to be cozy. I want to eat food. I want to read. Those are my vibes. Love you. Thanks for watching.